On today's show, we got our gloves on, our battling gloves on, and we're going to talk Ford Bronco versus Jeep Wrangler for sales. That's right. Q4 sales finally came out, and we're getting to see how they're stacking up versus each other. Of course, the Wrangler has been king forever. We do know that. You can't battle the king, right? Or can you? Well, Ford decided in 2020 they were going to actually take on the Wrangler. Very similar top, removable top, all that fun stuff. And has it hurt Jeep sales? Probably ever so slightly. We're going to bring some numbers up here, and I think you'll see where we're at. But I also want to talk about Forerunner just a little bit in this video because, hey, Forerunner is we got a new Forerunner out there too, and I think that's going to help. In probably Q2 is when we'll start seeing what Forerunner's doing versus the bad boys. But first, before we get into this, I want to show off our new website. Look at this thing. This is allterrainnation.com. We're actually writing stories now. Go through here, you can find all kinds of stuff where me and Kelly are starting to write stories. We're going to have some people bringing their ideas and opinions in as well that you may know, some you may not know. But if you go over to All Terrain Nation, go ahead and bookmark that. And if you're always looking for, there's All Terrain Nation for YouTube, ATN Off-Road, our merchandise. You'll see all kinds of stuff, YouTube memberships, however you want to support us, or if you just want to look around and check it out, we would greatly appreciate that. So go ahead and go check that out for me. But let's get into the real story here, which is sales figures. So right now, this comes to us from Ford Authority. Ford Bronco sales leap 127% to narrow the gap with the Jeep Wrangler during Q4 of 2024. Now, that's just Q4. Jeep's still ahead. I've owned both of these vehicles. I love both of these vehicles, so I'm not going to beat either one up. We do currently, for disclosure, we have a Ford Bronco Raptor in the driveway, and we do love that thing right now. But I bet we'll own a Jeep new when they refresh it. We'll own one down the path. But we'll get into this a little bit. It talks about Bronco sales here. They are up 126. You can see here almost 127%. On Q4, they've sold 32,224 of these things. I remember the days when Nissan sold 16,000 Xteras. Like nuts what this segment is doing right now. And year to date for 2024, they've sold 109,172 versus 105,665 in 23, which is good. We're seeing the numbers going up. And I will say 23 was a little rocky. 22 was a little rocky for Bronco. I think that's when we've seen the inflation really kicking in, interest rates really jumping up there to the 7, 8, 9%. And that's for well-qualified people. So I think it's people pulled back just a little bit. But if we do get to see these interest rates come down, I think we're going to be happy, and I think it's going to help the segment. Now, they did a nice job on the graph here for this. So Jeep Wrangler is up 26.82% for Q4 in 2024 over last year, which is that's a big deal. 26% is a big jump. But we look at the numbers here. They sold 30,000 in Q20 23. And they sold 38,085. So that's 8,000 increase in this thing. And I wonder what's bringing this kind of boost in sales. Is it because interest rates are slightly coming down? I don't say they're there yet. If we ever get in the 4% range down to the threes, you're going to see the off-road segment just spike again. These are expensive vehicles, by the way. And it also shows with Ford Bronco. We sold 32,224 Ford Broncos in Q4 last year, which is pretty comparable. And if you look at 127% above, it's because in 23 they sold 14,000. Man, they're making headways versus the Wrangler. And I'm always curious. So leave me a comment. Which are you, team Jeep or you team Bronco? There's no shame in that game in either way you want to go. And I'm always curious where our audience is listening. I know I have a pretty strong Ford audience, but we have some Jeep people in here as well. But the big loser in all this, look at this. Toyota 4Runner dropped 90%. 90%. That's scary, except for the fact that we got the next generation is here. So that's why you see that 90% drop. And normally dealers, if they saw a 90%, they'd be running through the dealership screaming, just freaking out. It's because they knew they had the next generation coming out there, and they're now at dealer lots. Late January, they started hitting dealer lots, and now you can find them. They're still a little pricey, in my opinion. Toyota dealers are going to do what they do and ask 5 to 10,000 over. But that's what they do. And I think by summer, you'll be able to get one at MSRP and the deals will start happening. 4Runner has always been Wrangler's competition. Like, I know they're kind of a different segment, but they are the off-road SUV segment, midsize, and they do always battle each other. And 4Runner sells over 200,000 like it's nothing. So how will that impact Bronco sales? And how will that impact Wrangler sales when we look at probably not Q1 of 2025, but we get down to Q2 and 3? That's when we're going to start seeing how the Forerunner affects all of this. But I would like to see once again if interest rates go down, I think all three of these go up. We do know that Nissan's working on the next generation Xterra. So how's that when we start seeing that? Do people like the what we get to see? Do they go, I'm going to hold on to my money? Or are there Team Scout out there? And Scout's pretty interesting, especially with the Harvester, where you can have a not a plug-in hybrid per se, but you have an electric with a generator on there that can get you up to 500 miles. And then they have the Terra version truck. And how does that affect sales of all these, or does it at all? Now, you look at Wrangler. I think really Wrangler at the end. I think Wrangler, if they didn't have the 4xe, I think sales would be much higher. I was talking to Kelly the other day. 4xe is such a bad driving experience, in my opinion, from what Wranglers were. I think it affects the sales at the end of the day. And then we do know Wrangler is due for a refresh. It's coming. I think by the end of the year, we do get an idea of where the next generation Wrangler is going to end up. They need it. Stellantis needs that kind of that boost, that just shot in the arm that says, hey, we're back, guys. I know they're still looking for leadership within that company, but they've placed some people back in the key, Ram being one, Jeep being one. They've placed some key people back in charge that just love those brands. And I think at the end of the day, we're going to see the next generation Wrangler soon. And I think it's going to maybe scare Ford just a little bit, cause Ford to step it up to the next level. And like I said, competition is good for everybody. So in the comments below, let me know what you think about this. So whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, or any of these badass off-road SUVs you drive, this has been your All Terrain Nation. I'm your host, David Boyd, and we're out. Peace, everybody. Love y'all.